And welcome back. As you can see in the description, we're going to be talking about 20 modern day artists that I listen to and recommend. Now this is going to be volume 1, so there's only going to be 10 of those artists listed in this video. I will follow it up with a volume 2, which will list 10 more artists and finish the 20. And what I mean by modern is any band that came primarily within the new millennium, around the year 2000 and forward. We're not going to be talking about Pink Floyd or The Who or Nirvana or Radiohead or any band that put albums out in the 2000s, but primarily bands that started around the 2000s or, later. There will also be a playlist in the description of the video that you can check out, and it will feature a Spotify playlist, and it will feature several of these. Well, it'll feature all the bands, but several songs from these bands. Okay, see if I can get my head straight here. Okay, so the first band I want to talk about is called My Morning Jacket. Jim James is a genius. This is the founder and leader and singer of My Morning Jacket. This band, if eclectic was a genre, My Morning Jacket would be pioneers of it. They are alt rock, alt country, indie rock, psychedelic rock, all rolled into one. It's really hard to pin down this group because everything is so different. And one thing about them is that they can be poignant one song, quirky the next, trippy the next, and down home the next. They do it all in incredible fashion. Very talented group. And Jim Jones had, oh gosh, I'm losing my mind. Jim James, not Jim Jones. He has a solo album. It's very good too. But the album that I recommend by My Morning Jacket is, of course, you can see the image right now. It's called Evil Urges. And of course I recommend any of their albums, but that's the one that I favor the most. And of course, there are a couple songs in the playlist. So the next artist, we're going to move forward. Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson is a genius. Yes, another genius. He is a modern prog rock artist and former leader and founder of Porcupine Tree, which was a band that started out playing sort of like Pink Floyd type music and then moved into the progressive metal genre. But Steven Wilson really came out as a solo artist and flourished unbelievably. To me, he is like the new face of progressive rock, but he still, pays tribute to the old school sound without seeming to be a fraud. He's even worked with some of the older 70s prog bands to remaster some of their albums. His musicianship and his composition skills, he's right up there with some of the classic proggers. So if it is a formula, he's got it down to a science. Some mind-blowing expanding tracks on his albums. Just incredible beauty. And this is one of the tightest bands I've ever seen live. It just blew my mind. Just wonderful, wonderful artist. Of course, I'm going to give you my album recommendation. He's got a few albums out, so any album would be fine, but my recommendation is The Raven That Refused to Sing. And Steven also has an incredible song called Drive Home. You've got to hear this song. You don't listen to anything else he puts out. Listen to Drive Home. And that's Steven Wilson. Okay, the next artist that we'll discuss here is called Foster the People. Mark Foster is a multi-instrumentalist, and his band is some of the most atmospheric, melodic dance pop rock out there today. I'm not really a big fan of dance music so much. I mean, it's okay. It's not something I just listen to all the time. But he's very gifted lyrically. And Foster the People have a way of taking pop music and making it extremely legit. They can take serious subjects and delve deep into them while at the same time making your head bop up and down, and you want to drive faster and dance and move around. But they can also be extremely mellow and relaxing and very dreamy and very introspective. The album that I would recommend, I know they had like a little hit out earlier in the millennium called Pumped Up Kicks. That's okay. But the album that I'm going to recommend here is called Supermodel, and it is from 2014, and it is one of the albums that I can actually put on and listen to the entire album and enjoy every single song. So that's saying something. Supermodel by Foster the People. Okay. The next artist is called Duran and the Indications. Do you like soul music? Because retro soul funk artist and saxophonist Duran Jones will make you think it's 1973. I mean, this is incredible artist, and I've only listened to a little bit of his material, but everything I've listened to is wonderful. The album, self-titled album, Duran and the Indications, incredible album. Has all the hallmarks of someone like Bobby Womack or Smokey Robinson. And I mean, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that music like this still existed. So it's it's intense, yet it's relaxed. It's kind of yearning, but it's dignified. I mean, I could listen to this all day long and all night. So highly recommend it. Self-titled album. It's the one I recommend. Duran and the Indications. You got to hear this. Okay, the next band that I'm going to recommend is called Tame Impala. They are a neo-psychedelic indie pop band that I refer to as Tripsters for Hipsters. And Tame Impala uses a lot of spacey atmosphere, and they're very hypnotic and playful. And they can rock out too. I mean, one of the songs that I have on the playlist is a pretty cool rock and roll song called Mind Mischief. But they are essentially the Beatles meet the Flaming Lips. And to me, I enjoy most all their material, although it can be a bit similar, sound a bit similar. At least they're ambitious enough to, pioneer a subgenre and entertain people from every generation of psychedelic music. The album that I recommend from Tame Impala is called Lonerism. So you can check that out. Okay, the next artist that I have this is a band from the UK. It's called The Bees. So if you're looking for more traditional, updated, psychedelic kind of British invasion rock, a throwback, if you will, this is the band for you. It is incredible how they sound like they belong in the late 60s and early 70s. They've only put out 2 albums, Free the Bees and Octopus, and both are full of nothing but classic sounding rock songs that never were, basically. I mean, if these would have come out in the 60s and 70s, they would have been a major stars. From the beginning of, these are the Ghosts off the Free the Bees album, and they start there, they never look back, and so, they're in that psychedelic sound, but they have such a creative vibe, and they are so inventive. I mean, you just need to hear this band. You've got to hear this band. I love everything about this band. I love everything they've ever done. And the album that I'm going to recommend is Free the Bees and Octopus, because they've only put out 2 albums, so I'm going to recommend both of them. The next band we're going to discuss is a band called Drop of Light. The only way I can describe this band and the album that that I've listed here is that they are like the classic King Crimson reborn into the new millennium. And I mean, I don't say that lightly as a fan of King Crimson. But I mean, I could just close my eyes and hear the Crimson King walking down the hall. I was just waiting for Greg Lake to walk into the door. I mean, so, yeah, the opener on the new album, All Traps on Earth, that's the name of the song as well. I mean, it sets the stage for kind of, an experience only gotten through Crimson themselves. I mean, I keep bringing up King Crimson. I don't really mean to compare the guys that much, but I mean, that's exactly what I thought when I heard these guys. This album is a brand new album. It came out, I think, last year, 2018. And I'm just blown away by how wonderful the album is. So I, listened to a little bit more of their stuff, and it's just a fantastic band, and I highly recommend listening to them. Drop of Light. Okay, next band or artist rather, is Devendra Banhart. He's a freak folk kind of indie rock artist. Combines like weird and quirky with the sensual. In other words, his albums are kind of like Johnny Depp characters. He's got a few albums that are come out, a few videos, very intimate stuff, very carefree, almost spiritual, but with wistful aspects to his material. He speaks of loving and remembering and freedom and childhood, and just such a very strange, eclectic, wonderful artist. I enjoy all of his albums, and that is the standard of a true artist, which he is. The album that I recommend is called Smoky Rolls Down Thunder Canyon or Cripple Crow, any one of those two. And of course, I have songs in the playlist as well. So Devendra Banhart. Okay, the next artist is called Curtis Harding. So if you like old school R&B, soul, and the Motown sound, then I'm going to recommend this guy to you, because I could close my eyes and hear Curtis Mayfield at times. I mean, this music makes me feel good. His album, the one that I recommend, Face Your Fear, is some of the most powerful, uplifting, passionate music that's out there. I mean, I've never been a fan of rap, but I've always been a fan of Motown and soul. And this music showers you with nostalgia for a time when Mayfield and Al Green and Isaac Hayes and Marvin Gaye ruled the airwaves. I mean, this is unbelievable how good this guy is. And I highly recommend it if you like this kind of music. It's called Face Your Fear. And that's the album that I recommend. And of course, the artist is Curtis Harding. And the final artist for this volume is the Mars Volta. Mars Volta is like organized chaos. I mean, they're like a potluck of every genre in rock from the 60s to the 2000s. And there's moments, in their albums that doesn't really do much for me, but I mean, I'm not real crazy about the vocals either. But as for the music itself and the creativity, and holy crap, I mean, this is stunning as far as musical skill and creativity and invention. I mean, music is psychedelic, progressive, jazzy, punkish, alternative, jamming, everything else that you can throw at it. If you want to talk about the kitchen sink, that should have been the other name of this band, the kitchen sink, the Mars Volta. Wow. And the album that I've got pulled up here that I'm recommending is called Francis the Mute. And unlike the title, they're definitely not mute. I mean, after listening to the final song off this album called Cassandra Gemini, after the song's about 32 minutes long. After the 14-minute mark, my God, I could just listen to that over and over and over. I mean, it's like the weirdest jam session just everything in there. Oh my gosh. I mean, you can't even describe it. Go listen to Cassandra Gemini. I've got it in the playlist. If you want to skip the first part, skip it, whatever. Listen to the whole song or skip it to the 14-minute mark and listen to the rest of the way. And I'm telling you, it will absolutely pull your soul out of your chest. Unbelievable. Nothing like this in 30 years. I mean, just craziness. But the Mars Volta, they've got several albums, but this is the one I really recommend. The first album that they had was really good too. I haven't listened to the latest album that they've released, but I'm going to. But yeah, wow, you've got to hear this, Cassandra Gemini, especially after the 14-minute mark. Okay, so those are 10 of the 20 favorite modern artists. And so if you'll join me the next time, then I will have 10 more for you. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Share it, like it, comment, do something, guys. Come on. But until next time, you guys take care.